Okay, so it is 5:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you all here to our event today. Thank you for coming. If you don't know who I am Mariah. I'm the Fund Development Assistant here at Summit. Unleash Your Love is happening now through May 31st, and we will be having an in-person finale on May 25th. You can find more information about Unleash Your Love, how to donate, and how to buy tickets to our finale at our website. I have linked it in chat for you if you need it. Tonight's event is made possible by our wonderful sponsors, including our gold level sponsors, Levitt Capital Companies, and Providence Health Plan. Our silver level sponsors, Dwayne Lane's Skagit Subaru and Heritage Bank, and our bronze level sponsors, Sam's Cats and Dogs, Promobile Foundation, and United Access. We are so grateful to all of our sponsor support, which help make it possible for us to continue making life-changing partnerships between people and dogs. Today, we will be celebrating one of our most recent partnerships, that between Melissa and Leroy. Melissa is both a staff member here at Summit as well as a client, and she was matched with her successor dog, Leroy, just last month. Melissa will be telling us all a bit about what that training and matching process looks like, while the pair demonstrates some of the tasks that Leroy does to assist Melissa. If you have any questions during the event, please put them in the chat. We will be monitoring as we go, and Melissa will be answering some questions at the end. If there are any questions that we aren't able to get to today, you can also reach out to us through our website. I'm going to ask everyone to remain on mute and with their cameras off during the event so that we can keep the focus on Melissa and Leroy. Again, if you have any questions or comment, you can put them in the chat. I'm going to hand things over to Melissa so we can go ahead and get started. Take it away, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. We are coming to you from lovely downtown Olympia, where it is quite hot here. But in order to be able to show you some of Leroy's skills, I have worn a jacket. This is a skill that a lot of teams use, especially people who are in wheelchairs, because there's not a lot of space for getting out of your clothing when you're in a chair. Leroy, stand, tug, tug. So, tug. Good boy, tug. That's it, tug. Good boy. Yes, breathe. All right. Get it all the way off. Leroy, tug. Good boy, tug. Drop. Good boy. All right, now that we got that off, good boy. You guys will notice I'm doing a lot of marking and rewarding of Leroy, and that is because we are new. So we are still establishing all of our patterns for how we like things done. So he still gets quite a lot of active payment. You're right back. Tug. That's it. Tug. Good boy. Now I'm going to show you a shoe tug here. You can see the bottom of my blue shoe. Tug. Good boy. That's it. Whoop. Tug. And he'll work it out. Good boy. That's it. Tug. Good boy. Tug. Good boy. That's it. Tug. Good boy. Thank you. And if you guys will give me a second, my handy dandy human assistant, who some of you know, my best friend Leslie, is going to put the shoe back on so that I don't run around without shoes on.
Excuse me.
Here, sit. Sit. He says, I love you. Okay, good boy. All right, now we got the shoe back on. couple of things that we were able to set up to show you guys in this room. So I have here, let me show you what I have. I have here my actual real bank card, right? This is not a dummy card. Ready? Back, sit. Get it? Good boy. Okay. So, credit card in one piece, maybe with a little slobber, but still here. Yeah. The other thing that I use Leroy for quite a lot, I don't know if everybody's noticed, but there's a lot of counters in the world, and there's a lot of things in the way of said counters when you need to get to them, particularly to pay. So one of the things that most summit dogs are taught is called a counter retrieve, where they can take an item and deliver it to the counter or to the person on the other side of the counter. Leroy, get it? Hold, pause up. Pause up. That's it. Pause up. Yeah. Good boy. Good boy. So that's good. And conversely, he can get it back. You're like, Neil. Pause up. Pause up. Did it. Yeah. Yeah. Good boy. Got the card back. All right. So now where we're going to show you, we got enough floor space visible, is retrieval of a variety of different items of sizes and textures and weights. That. And then we'll take this. Okay, Leroy. All right, come here, buddy. So I have in my hands a plastic water bottle, a real cell phone, real working, functioning, and a glasses case. And we got a set of keys on the body. Right? So surface dogs have to be able to pick up a variety of items of different textures and different degrees of fragileness and return them to their person undamaged, right? If you're having your dog pick up the money that just fell out of your wallet, you do not want it to be torn in half or otherwise destroyed. So that fell out of view, so I'm gonna have to move. Leave it. Good boy. Good boy. Leave it. Here. Yes. Okay. Good boy. Oh, that went too far. Leave it. Better. Good. All right. So you can see I put down a variety of items for him to retrieve. We're not quite to the point yet because we're new that I can get him to get a specific one. We're still working on that, but can get him to get all of them one right after another. You're right. Look, get it. Good boy. Here. Get it. Pause up. Good. Good boy. Off. You ready? Look. Look. Go get it. Bring it here. Good boy. Bring it here. Yes. Off. Look. 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 Get it. He says, here, you need this. Look. Get it. Bring it here. Oh. Good boy. I'm gonna have my handy dandy assistant come take some items because I'm getting late in here. All right, be right off. Off. Look. Get it. Get it. Bring it here. Good boy. Hold. Hold. Good boy. Yes, give. Okay, buddy. Leash. Leash. Oh, you're a good boy. Thank you. Thank you. So that last one, retrieving of the leash, is something every single summit dog knows how to do and does. It's both for practicality and safety because, drop leashes happen. So we want to make sure that people are able to get their leashes back and that our dogs don't see a dropped leash as blanket permission to just go, do whatever is of interest in the world. Instead, they see it as a cue to attempt to return it to their human. So that's our little demo that we have. So now I can do questions, and if anybody wants to know about anything they saw, I'm happy to answer. Oh, you're right. My handy dandy assistant said we forgot one that we practiced. You're right. Up here is a switch. You're right. Side. Here. Side. Pause it. Good boy. Right. Yes. That one's pretty tall. Fortunately, Leroy's pretty tall. What else did we forget? The door. Oh, yes. So the other thing we were going to show you, we a little bit have to make it up because the door in this
I'm a door.
is not visible. Leroy, tug. Good boy. Drop. Bring it here. You're so good. You're so funny. You're so funny. Good boy. Good boy. Here, you ready? Go get it. Yeah. Come on. Come on, bring it here. Bring it here. Get it. Come on. Someone's got a kibble stuck in his cheek. He's got to work it out. Come on. So, how about it, ladies? Are there questions in the chat? I can't see the chat, so.
We don't have any questions right now, but if anyone does have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat.
Or comments or things of good and good order. Come on, Leroy. Good boy.
Yeah, while we're waiting for questions, do you want to maybe talk about what your matching process with Leroy was like, Melissa?
So I put in for a successor dog about a year and a half ago. When I noticed Tanner was starting to slow down and become less interested in doing work outside the house, whereas my world, much like all of you all's, coming to, the outer edge of the pandemic was starting to speed up again. So I did have to go through the application process, fill it out, provide new information, everything like that. And then our matching process starts with a client assessment so that the trainers and staff can see the client in person, see how they move, see how they interact with dogs, which in my case might seem a little silly, but it's not, because everybody changes over time, and I'm now on my third dog through Summit Assistance Dogs, which means that I'm much older than I was when I got the first one or even second one. And we all know that that means changes in our bodies and changes in how we move and use them. And also just changes in my life and lifestyle and things that I might have needed a dog to do. Then and during that client matching assessment, the client gets introduced to different dogs in the program who are at different points in the program. Some might be closer to being ready to place than others, but we're looking for a personality and lifestyle match between the dog and client. For instance, we don't want to put a dog who is not a big city dog with someone who lives in a big city, and that's going to be the regular part of their life. Also, we don't want to put a dog that is a big city dog way out in the country. So we want to make a match there. We also want to make a match in personality types. A lot of people who've been involved with Summit for a while know me, and they know that I'm a little bit of a show person and I like a little flash and dash, which usually means that I tend to match with dogs who are also show people and like a little flash and dash. And also I'm a power chair user and a fast power chair user that I don't even know what the slow setting on my chair looks like. I don't use it. It doesn't matter. And so therefore I need a dog who can match that pace without overtaxing themselves as well. And then finally, I have a bracing test that I use, which Leroy and I are still working on, so I can't demonstrate it today because this is a new environment and I don't want to be unsafe. That requires me to have a taller dog in order to be able to do that. And Leroy is one of the taller dogs that we have put out. He's definitely on the taller end of the Labrador spectrum. And so all of those things take into account in the match. And then we take all of that, we combine it, and we go and we take videos and we look at the person and we look at the dog, and we're looking for a little bit of magic, a little bit of, wow, that dog really likes that person. That dog is, most themselves with that person, or that person really seems to enjoy these traits of this dog's, whereas some other people maybe wouldn't enjoy those traits. For instance, Leroy likes to give kisses, right? Not everybody's going to enjoy that as a thing. So rather than putting him with someone who doesn't like that and trying to make him stop, we're going to look for a person who would enjoy that at least some of the time. And so it can take several times to get matched with a dog. Some people, due to their living situations or particular things about their disabilities, may be more difficult to match than others. Um, my bracing task does make me a bit of a harder match. Also, the fact that I have retired dogs in my household makes me a bit of a more challenging match because we want to have a dog who can work around other dogs and isn't particularly distracted by other dogs, but is also happy to live in a group of dogs. So all of those things can make it very complicated to do the match.
Great, thank you.
I do see a
How,
little chat.
yeah, we have a question that is about how old Leroy is.
Oh, Leroy. Leroy stand. Leroy is 3, which is a little older than most dogs that we place. But that's okay because, as we all know, at Summit, the dogs come first. And Leroy needed a little bit more time to grow up and develop his serious work ethic. Um, Unfortunately, at Summit, we were able to give him that. Um, so he just turned 3 on March 18th. So, yeah. So if anybody wants to know, El Litter birthday is March 18th. Just so you know. And Leroy says, presents are welcome. Um, let's see. What else would you guys like to know about Leroy? You're right here.
What's something silly that he does?
Oh, so Leroy, something silly that he does. So many of you know or may have experienced the Labrador tale of death and destruction. Um, Leroy's tail is a particularly high tail. So he loves to wag and he loves to do that. And he is very silly and will walk around with toys in his face. And while he is walking around, if he passes too close to one of the side tables, he will make work for himself by knocking it off the table with his tail. Um, and so that is pretty funny. And he likes to sleep with all of his feet curled up underneath himself on his dog beds. So he just looks like a little black ball with no feet. So that's pretty funny.
We also have a question about how has Leroy differed in personality from Tanner, your previous service dog? How has that transition been?
Um, so they definitely are 2 different dogs, 2 different speeds. And Leroy, I would say Leroy is he's much more he's much more quiet. He's a little bit slower moving, but he does one of the things that he does that I really like is he does a thing called generalizing really well. So I show him something maybe a couple of times and then he's got it down. Generalizing was not Tanner's best skill, so we had to work at things a little bit longer to get new tasks or things that were harder to be solid. And then Leroy is definitely far less demonstratively flirty with the entire world versus Tanner the Golden, who just assumes that everybody who's everywhere obviously came to see him. Obviously, right? So but they both are very goofy. They share that kind of goof trait. Um, and they both share the little bit of flash for showing off what they know how to do. They get along great, Tanner and Leroy. And we actually have a third dog in our house that is a retired guide dog who's 12 from Guiding Eyes for the Blind, and all three of them get along really well and hang out together and have been caught trading out in the crate or sharing dog beds, things like that.
We have a question. What does Leroy like to do in his off time? And I have a follow-up to that. What are his favorite working tasks to do?
So right now in most of Leroy's off time, he is choosing to hang out very near me, and maybe wander around our big yard a little bit. We're still getting to know each other for like all the super fun stuff and building experiences. What was the other part of that question, Mariah?
What are his favorite tasks to do?
So definitely his most favorite task, as I'm sure you could see, are the retrieving dropped items. That's his most favorite. And then and then door buttons, which unfortunately I couldn't show you today. He loves to do door buttons and elevator buttons and different crosswalk buttons. So that's kind of fun. He gets to do a little hop up and punch things with his nose, and especially the talking crosswalk buttons that do something as soon as he does it. He's like, I know I did it. If they say wait or if they make a beepy noise, then he knows that he got it exactly right. And he loves to chew on his Bones and other toys, and just walk around the house with stuffies in his face.
He's getting them all chickens.
Oh, that's right. Our house also, as residents, has 4 chickens that live out in the yard. So Leroy has been trying to make friends with the chickens. I don't think he's quite won them over yet, but he keeps trying. So, and our chickens were raised with dogs, so they're very dog savvy, and they're in their chicken yard, so they're safe. But yeah, that's kind of Leroy right now.
Do you guys have any exciting adventures planned? And also, what is it like traveling with a service dog?
We do. So I have an exciting adventure that predated me even knowing that I was going to get Leroy, which is I'm going to Washington, D.C. the week of June 17th to do some disability advocacy at an event called Roll on Capitol Hill. And traveling with a service dog is much like traveling with a reasonably well-behaved 3 to 4-year-old human being. In that, when things are going really well, you are concerned about whether you have enough food, snacks, toys, when the last potty break is, all this stuff. So it really does feel like a human toddler. And you get a lot of attention from others, some of it good attention and nice attention, some of it not good attention because some people are not pleased to be traveling with a dog in their cabin and whatnot. I will say that my service dogs are some of my favorite traveling companions because for the most part, they just go with the flow. They don't really complain if the flight times get changed. They don't really care if stuff is taking longer than it should. They just sort of go with the flow. And they carry their own stuff for the most part. Leroy has a backpack that we will be using to travel with. So he will be carrying some of his own things for travel. Um, and it's fun to go to new places with your service dog. It's really great to give them opportunities to use skills in new places. And for me, um, it takes a lot of the worry out of traveling with a disability, because even if stuff is not as accessible as it should be, Leroy can help me get around those issues. You know, he can help me open doors that don't have door buttons, or the door button is broken. He can help me pick up my dropped items so I don't have to wonder if that person that's nearby is a safe option to say, pick up my money that just dropped, because maybe they'll pick it up and not give it back to me. Um, and then also, it gives you a bit of a confidence traveling with a service dog, because you are alone in that you're not with another human, but you're not alone. So that gives you a little more um, personal space security, because even though service dogs they're never trained for personal protection. Somebody who has less than good intentions, you know, when they see me with Leroy or Tanner or whichever dog I'm with, they go choose someone else to try to bother, because, you know, it's a dog. They just don't need that problem in their life.
Wonderful.
So
For a new applicant, how long could they typically expect to wait before being matched with a mobility assistance dog?
So industry ride, the average for a person with a mobility dog wait is about 5 years. Summit right now is around 2.5 to 3, which is basically the time it takes us to basically birth, grow, raise, and train a dog. So, and we have a number of dogs in training string right now, and our wait list is open, and our wait list is done by best match, not necessarily first come, first serve. So somebody could get on the list tomorrow and their match could already be in the string. We don't know until we meet the person. We've had people on our list for as short as 5 to 6 months, which is pretty fast. Um, and then we've had other people that were a bit longer because they needed very particular things in their partner, which it took us a while to find, and or grow, raise, and train, because we breed, raise, and train our own dogs. So the short answer is about 2 to 3 years from the point at which someone comes on the list, which means if someone says, oh, I'm not ready for a dog right now, if they're thinking future forward, forecasting out, I encourage everyone to get on the list. And if a dog comes up for you and you're not ready for that dog, you can always say that, and we'll move to the next person, next best match for that person. And also, we have dogs and people who don't necessarily need or want public access skills like Leroy has. Leroy takes the bus with me. He goes everywhere I go. But not everybody needs that or would benefit from having a dog in tow 24/7. So we also have a type of placement called skilled home companion, where the dog works within the home and around the neighborhood, and that is their working space with the person. Often it's because the person's disability level is so high that handling a dog out in public would be not really possible. or because they have something about their disability that the added attention of having a dog in public might exacerbate that for them. So that is a choice that Summit offers in addition to our fully public access trained dogs.
And what does that application process look like? What do people need to do to get on the list?
So what you need to do is, number one, review Summit's website and make sure that we are training dogs that will fit your needs. So for instance, Summit does not train currently. We don't train guide dogs for the blind. We don't train dogs primarily for PTSD or mental health related disabilities. So you want to make sure that is the case, that what you are wanting from a service dog is what Summit dogs are trained to do. So that's step number one. And once you get through that on our website, there's a little online quiz that you take, and that will allow you to send your information through to our office, and then they will reach out and send you the application materials. It is purposely so, it is a deep application requiring information from us as clients, from our medical providers, and letters of recommendation. So it can take people a little bit of time to get all of that information together. Plus, there's a small application fee that people will pay. It's about, I think it's $30 right now. And then once we get the full application for somebody, then the next step, we will do a home visit. We will go to your house. We will visit with you. We will see what your living environment looks like, see how we, meet any other pets in the home, meet any other members of the family. Then once that's on board, then we start going through the assessment process. And once you complete your first assessment, then you are on the wait list. That means once you hit the wait list, you are eligible to be matched with any of the dogs in the string. And we go through and invite people based on the dogs that we have and people who on paper already look like a good match for that dog to do the in-person assessment process that I shared with you about earlier.
Great, thank you. I was wondering if, as someone who has had multiple successor dogs, you could talk a bit about the retiring process for dogs and what the options are for that retirement dog.
So the retirement process, there's a couple of different options, but the first thing I want to say is that never, ever, ever, ever does the retirement process for a service dog include going to a rescue or shelter. That is not an option. Summit will take any of our dogs back at any time for any reason. Should someone become unable to care for them, no longer wanting their skills, should someone pass away, we will always take our dogs back. So that is option number one, is for the dog to come back to Summit. And then we would find a retirement adoptive home, which from time to time can be their puppy raisers. So the person that raised them and loved them when they were young now can have them back when they are older and more settled and live those two ends of their life with them. So that is an option. Secondarily, a lot of people's retired dogs will go to another family member or friend if the person is not able to keep the dog in retirement. My first two retired dogs actually went to my parents, and they lived their retired years with my parents wrapped around all four paws, and my parents doing their bidding. So that was great. And because for those two dogs, I wasn't able to keep them with me. I was living in apartments, I was working full time, I was doing things, and I just didn't feel like it was fair to them to go from, being with me most of the time every day to being home alone in an apartment. So that's why I chose to do that option. And then a final option for dogs that are retiring, for people who don't have anybody in their life who could take on the retired dog, or for whom their puppy raiser is still raising puppies and therefore they can't take the retired dog. We, Summit, will find the dogs an adoptive home through a very in-depth process, and place those dogs in an adoptive home for their retirement. So lots of options for dogs to retire, and which is best really depends on the dog we're talking about and the person we're talking about. My very first service dog made it clear that he was done working, but he also made it clear that he really didn't want to watch another dog take over his job. So placing him with my mom was really the best option for him. And then my second dog, Shiloh, who some of you on this chat may know, she retired my parents and spent a few years with them as a RV traveling dog, going to her favorite places on the planet, otherwise known as the beach, the beach, the beach, over and over and over, in different beaches all the time. And then Tanner is retired with me, meaning he is staying with us and retired. He has a retirement buddy in Leslie's retired guide dog, Gwenny. So he has somebody to hang out with, and we have a big house and a big yard now, and a neighborhood that's very walkable. And I just felt like I had the resources to care for more than one dog, and so that's what I did.
Great. And what does the process look like after getting matched? How often do we reach out to clients?
So in the beginning, a lot. In the beginning, the teams and Summit staff are very close because we want to head off any settling in difficulties, any questions the client might have. We want to get to those right away. So the team training process is typically around 2 weeks long. And then we get a visit from our trainer. At the end of team training, they will follow new clients home and help set up the house a little bit for the dog and set up things for tasking if the client needs help with that. And then 2 weeks later, the trainer will come back and the team and the trainer will do an outing, work through any tasking or any cues that the team might be having trouble with or questions about. And then the clients, actually, we turn in a monthly report every month for at least the first 6 months. and it's pretty extensive and goes through a lot of things and asks about where the team has been going, how the dog has been working, any difficulties, any health problems, anything like that. And then Summit staff reach out and follow up on information in those reports. And then at 6 months, we receive an in-person visit. And then if there's no issues or no need, then the team receives another visit at the end of the first year and recertifies through the public access test. And then a minimum of every year thereafter until retirement, the team presents ourselves in person and provides a report and veterinary report annually. However, Summit is special in that our teams can request support from a trainer at any point. And we will provide that at anything. And if a team is working through something, new behavior, or they're struggling with something, they can request time with a trainer at any point.
Amazing. Thank you so much. If we don't have any more questions for Melissa, we may go ahead and wrap it up early. So if you have any more questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Melissa, if there's any last thing you want to say?
Well, so Leroy is he's my third dog from Summit, but my fourth service dog. So I've been partnered with service dogs since I was 21 years old, and I am now 44 going on 45. So it's really become part of how I move through the world and how I choose to live with my disability. And each dog I get teaches me something different, both about themselves and myself. And I'm always excited to see where each partner and I are going to go.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who is here as well for this event. It means so much for you all to be here and joining us for these Unleash Your Love activities. If you have any other questions that we weren't able to get to today, you can reach out to us on our website and we will get you any of that information that you need.
And I'm going to squeak. Leroy and I have a Unleash Your Love fundraising page. If you want to donate specifically to us, we're Team Melroy. For those of you who don't know, Lindy likes to give her team's Hollywood couple names. So that's ours. Because also for those of you who don't know, Leroy was raised by Lindy and trained by Shelby. So he's a real labor of love. Did I just see Joy Thompson's name pop up in the chat? Hi, Joy.
Yes. Yes, Leroy is a true Summit dog through and through.
Yes.
If you want to find more information about making a donation or purchasing a limited edition Unleash Your Love t-shirt, you can do that on our website as well. I also want to remind everyone to grab your tickets to our wine and charcuterie soiree that is happening on May 25th at Bellevue College. There's limited seating and the last day to purchase tickets is Friday, May 19th. So make sure you go ahead and go get those if you haven't gotten them already. I want to thank you all again for being here and thank Melissa and Leroy for showing off some skills and chatting with all of us, helping us continue to make life-changing partnerships between people and dogs. And thank you all for unleashing your love. Have a good evening.
Bye, everyone.